committed?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Just waiting to speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So who are the DJs of DeFi? DJ Sam, tell us. What?
Well, why don't you introduce yourself, right?
I will, but I
Yeah.
want your full attention. This is a show of two people. Two people. And Victor Lee. Okay. Everybody's in. Are we all paying attention? Yes. So, who are the DJs of DeFi? I'm going to do a little bit of an intro. So, the DJs of DeFi we're essentially we're passionate crypto enthusiasts. We're launching our own project called CD's Exchange. It is going to be coming out public sale, I think next month sometime. So we thought we'd do something cool and novel and create these sick ass avatars to engage with, to have fun with, to actually create something new in the market, right? So outside of the product of CDs, we want to do something cool, talk about DeFi, talk about crypto, and we thought this would be a cool way to do it. We want to start a community. We want to start a movement, and this is a way we thought we could do it. So here we go. What's the purpose? The purpose is to start a community. That's what the general purpose. So CD's Exchange, let's just launch into it without getting too shilly. DJ Sam, you want to tell how many viewers do we have? One or two? Two viewers what CD's Exchange is about.
Yep. So we are a cross-chain liquid derivatives DEX for trading crypto derivatives.
What does that mean? What are derivatives?
Yeah, so you go into traditional financial markets, they have these things called like futures, options, all these big fancy words, right? Well, we're bringing that to crypto, but not only crypto, on decentralized trading platforms.
Okay, that's cool. Victor, Mr. MC Eggplant, can you tell me, in your words, what you think derivatives are? Right. Okay, so that sounds like a bunch of gobbly doop goop. I'm just a kind of a low end kind of guy, just trying to get in on the crypto buzzwords. How do I make money doing derivatives, not knowing much? Like I can buy some Bitcoin. I heard this thing about staking. I know that kind of stuff. What is the simplest, lowest hanging fruit that some noob could participate in derivatives in the most simplest way? And we don't have to go down that rabbit hole, but just in the simplest way. Yep. 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 Got you. It's very, so if I were to summarize that, it's very, very fancy, fancy gambling. Yeah, okay. So that maybe goes to what we're doing, right? So decentralized exchange. So that's a sexy way of saying, hey, look, there's no middle person. I get to plug into a platform, another person gets to plug into that platform, and no one stops us from trading with each other. Or is there another? Okay. Okay. Interesting. Do you have anything to add, DJ Sam?
No, I mean that's absolutely it, right? So that Robinhood thing was pretty outrageous. The retail investors, they literally couldn't do anything. I've even had bros and homies have accounts, and they were locked out for like an entire day, while the hedge funds, right, were, I would say, let's taking advantage of the situation. So, that's totally unfair. It's not cool. So that's why it was one of the motivations why we built this decentralized derivatives platform, because just like Uniswap, we want to do the same exact thing for crypto derivatives, which is magnitudes larger than the spot markets of crypto.
So are we aiming to be a Robin Hood killer ultimately? Is that our aspiration? I mean, what's
Whoa, man, let's not put ourselves on the same level as Robinhood. We're way beyond that.
way beyond
Completely
it?
different dimensions.
Yeah, okay, I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. It's very bullish.
Yeah.
It's very bullish. Too bad we don't have DJ DeBulls here to back us up. Okay. Uh, yes. Yeah. It is the most distracting thing. I have to say, your fucking eggplant is it's driving me fucking nuts, mate. I know. Yeah. Okay. Okay. MC eggplant. So, all right, mate. I don't know. We'll see how we go. We'll see how we go. See, I'll get so distracted by that thing wobbling in front of me. Yeah.
That
So
smile is gonna
let's.
haunt me.
I know. It's hilarious. Okay. So look, we've talked enough. I think at this stage. I mean, I think going forward, this is our first episode. This is a test. Let's see how many people are watching now. I'd be surprised if there's more than 5 people. 2 people. We've been on for 16 minutes. Shocked that 2 people are even watching us. That's awesome. 2 people. 2 lonely souls out there watching us. Whoever you are, thank you very much for watching us. Yeah, it's you know what? It's probably us. It's probably our own, because I have Twitch open, so I bet you it's us. Like, we're reflecting ourselves. That's kind of cool. So, good. So, onward and upward. Let's talk about. That's enough about CDs, because I think we'll have more to talk about in the coming days. We're going to be doing this twice a week, and I think right now we're just setting a precedence for a bit of a vibe, a pattern on how we can kick off some really interesting chats. So I did a scour of the news, and obviously what the latest news right now in this market is: are we returning to a bull, or are we going into a bear? There is no consensus on this. I think we're testing the new floor. So, Mr. MC Eggplant, what do you reckon? Are we just what's your vibe on this whole market, Biz?
Bullish news, in my opinion, that happened globally, right? The first one is actually like the Latin American countries, the smaller countries right now.
Yeah.
They are actually legalizing Bitcoin, the first step.
Yep.
You remember the days when we are talking about, hey, Bitcoin is actually used for money laundering, it's
Right.
like used for Ponzi.
Right.
Yeah, well, the government is getting it now. And this is just a start. How many other countries will say that, hey, I think we should have our control of our destiny of how we should manage our money and finances, economy globally, right, in their own country? So El Salvador, kudos to the Latin American countries. Finally, they have like the eggplant and the balls to make that decision to came on board, right? And that is just the first step.
Yep.
Think about the coolness of them, right, on Twitter, whereby they have that laser eyes, right,
Yep.
spitting out. And they are talking about using their volcano activities at the heat, right, not to create more energy, but use the energy to run Bitcoin facility so that they could be part of this movement in cryptocurrency, in digital asset space. Talk about inclusiveness. Government are getting in as well. And we are here debating whether we are in the bull market or bear market. It doesn't matter. The market is coming in.
Yeah.
That's number one.
No, that's great. That's great. And then the volcano thing, man. That's like, who the fuck saw that one coming? I think I love the metaphor of the volcano and Bitcoin. I think that's pretty. I mean, it's just fucking cool. Like, I mean, it's like simmering and it's building and building, boom, and explodes. You know that metaphor. Anyway, I cut you
Yep.
off. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yep. I mean, think about it. I did, despite me looking like a bloody stupid eggplant, but yeah, I have some brains on top of my green head. Look at it, like shaking. So, I did thought about it. I did digest about it. You think from the perspective, right? If you were to, if from a value transaction perspective, when you are buying a Bitcoin, right, generally, part of the transaction and the value and the cost is actually paid to the miners, correct?
Yeah.
And the miners own the mining facility, right? And they're like having like farms of mining Bitcoin, and China closed it down because they're using coal. It's cheap and it's bad for the environment.
Yeah.
And now volcano and like the heat activity, those are energies, right? And right now they are actually using this energy from the mother nature to convert it to be part of the financial system. And when the Bitcoin is legalized, I would not be surprised that, if some of the employees of the government in El Salvador decided to say, hey man, I would like to get paid in Bitcoin too. Could I get in Bitcoin? Then they can pay Bitcoin. Once the government legalize it, the government will say, hey, it's up to you. It's a legalized tender. You can get paid in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
What happened to the fiat currency?
Yeah.
It's going to be even more
Yeah.
crazier.
Yeah.
Everyone will demand even more Bitcoin.
Yep.
Extremely bullish.
Yeah.
Such as my green head,
Yeah.
shaking around.
when you no, that's an interesting point. I mean, that's gonna take a while to cascade down, though, right? So it's only one country. I didn't check what the population of. So let me check it out. What's the population of El Salvador?
300,000, I think. I'm not sure. But it's a small one, right? Think about it. Think about the use cases.
No. 6.45 million as of 2019. So let's call it 6.5 million people, man. That's not nothing.
Yep. Think about it. This is just the first start. That is based on volcano.
Yeah.
How about all the deserts, in like Mongolia, in like, Middle Eastern, down the road, solar energy is going to get more and more cheaper. Perhaps, they can convert solar energy to be, mining Bitcoin. That is what Tesla, Elon Musk wanted, right? Again, bullish signs. None of these are pouring to the bearish sign.
Well, okay. So bullish, yeah. So it'll take a while to cascade. So I mean, there's going to be some resistance from the Fed, from from the U.S. dollar. But I don't think the U.S. government's going to sort of say, "Hey, this is amazing." I mean, at least there's already vocal critics. DJ Sam, I feel like we're doing all the talking here. I'd like to give you the floor. I mean, you must have some thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, those macro, right, political, economic factors are definitely bullish, and it might take a while for it to really reverberate and for people to realize, those 6.5 million people, oh shit, right, I can use Bitcoin to buy milk, pay my landlord, whatever. It's going to take probably months to, if not years. But I think it's only a matter of time before, hey, the other Latin American countries, look at Argentina, Venezuela. Yeah, people have been like buying Bitcoin like way before this news even came out. But if those governments legitimize that, yeah, it's just like a domino effect that cannot be stopped anymore. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, fundamentals, right? Even on chain, hash rates going up consistently. There's really nothing wrong. It's just all FUD, right? Corrections happen. Elon makes a tweet. China makes Bitcoin illegal for the millionth time. It's just all political things that creates this giant FUD.
Yep.
So stay strong, right? Hodl, hodl.
Hodl, hodl, hodl. So I think that kind of goes back to the original question, bull or bear. I suppose it's what I'm hearing. It's kind of irrelevant. Ultimately, it's all going to go up, which is why we're in it. We all think it's going to go up. Right now, a little bit sideways. I know fuck all about trading. I mean, I've tried to educate myself, and I keep hearing about crab harmonics and all this other stuff, which I just take to mean it's going sideways. So yeah, I guess that's where we are. We don't know where we are in the next 30 days. That's still be to TBD. Okay, well, let's shift gears a little bit, because I think just giving credit where credit is due. I think they call them BTC maxis, right? And I think they for better for worse, I think they have gotten us here where we are, right? They're the ones kind of leading the pointy end. There's a lot of debate on whether it's toxic or whether it's been a good thing. I think ultimately, in my opinion, I think it's ultimately a good thing. I think that anything that's not BTC is a shit coin to them. Fine. But at the same time, I feel like they're the ones carrying the torch forward. They're the ones that's kind of covered the most ground, and it's giving us anything that rains down from BTC is good news for the rest of the market. Do you have any comments on that, MC Eggplant?
MC Eggplant is thinking.
Is he?
Yep.
Okay.
What was the question again?
Right. BTC maxis.
Oh, okay. So that I remember the question. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
skip it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always fraction and factions among all these believers and communities, right?
Right.
It's just how the world works, right? You can't stop them. Somebody will debate that Bitcoin is a Ponzi despite whatever we are trying to discuss over here over the last, 20 minutes. So there's always going to be these kind of communities and people who are like even Ethereum maximalists. It's kind of like funny, right? Yeah, but I think everyone is trying to prove each other's wrong, and everyone is trying to stick to their belief. But we can't control how people think, right? Just trying. The only thing that we can do is just to create more value by shaking our head and creating something cool, and just try to make people, create real value, right? I think that is the right word. If you have value, if you create something that truly help people and solve problems, I think we'll get there someday. We'll get there eventually.
Eventually, okay. That sounds like that could be a very long, distant time horizon. DJ Sam, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, like Victor said, there's going to be cults, right? Religions, whatever. Bitcoin, Ethereum, it's the same for people who wants to be maximalists in either section. But I think I really want people to learn and understand and really educate themselves. What is the purpose of each one? Bitcoin is very different from Ethereum in terms of the purpose behind it, right? So Ethereum, supercomputer, now it's used for dApps. Bitcoin, digital cash, well, now it's more like digital gold. But don't just listen to CNBC and be like, oh, everything's crashing, it's all the same. No, go read the white paper, go watch YouTube videos, really educate yourself. Financial literacy is going to be your best friend.
Easier said than done. I mean, there's a lot of it's funny, like, I've been in social in one form or another for the last 10 odd years, give or take. And now I think what the trend I've been seeing is that really in the last 2 years, doggedly in the last year since the pandemic, is that mainstream media now has almost no credibility, at least for the people that I think are kind of discovering different channels of information, right? So when you say financially literate, it's like, okay, what are my sources of information to become financially literate, right? You really do still have to be your own detective. You do still have to go find out, people that are, that, and it's not even a matter of credibility. It's just a matter of how many layers, are there to uncover before you feel you have any kind of confidence in what's happening. And even now, with all the subterfuge and counter subterfuge and all this other shit, that you hear, and you're still trying to make sense of it all. So, I mean, you can look at, and with that said, not going too off tangent here, to try and filter out and make sense of, I mean, crypto is so enormously abstract, and the barrier to entry is quite high. So my sort of place in this whole thing, since I've been in it now for 4 years, is how do we make it easier for people to come in? We're talking about derivatives, we're talking about DEX. I mean, these are all very cool things, I think, ultimately. But if we're talking about adoption, if we're talking about bringing people in, how do we bring those people in? But that's why I like Bitcoin. I think is one of those ground entry points, even though it's still in itself quite complex.
I think things will change. I'm not even doubting it, right? I mean, if you think from like a tech perspective, right, the early adopters are always going to be the young people and the millennials, right? The older people, in our case right now, are the boomers, right, who are like, hey, I still trust the fiat and the currency offered by the government. It's just how the generation is, right? But if you look at the younger people, how many of us actually, I think there's some survey done that to say that the millennials and the Gen Zs and people who are like, just born out of college, I mean, everyone is actually holding Bitcoins and holding cryptocurrencies, right? Because they believe that this is the future, right? And give it another 5 to 10 years down the road, it's going to be more and more people just using this technology. No difference from the early days of like, internet technologies or mobile technologies or TikToks, right? Always the early adopters are actually people who are young. And then they find a way to actually tap onto those communities and the population, and you just skyrocket. And Bitcoin has been like in the market for like 13 years, like more than a decade. And like DeFi has just been to the space for like 1 year. Give it some time. Trust me. I mean, like another few years down the road, we just need to create value, solve their problem. They'll be here.
Yeah, look, and I think you're right. It will happen, certainly organically, whether it's with us directly or other people in the space. I think, as you say, create value, but tangibly, let's say, the three of us, having this very lovely fireside chat on the first episode of DJs of DeFi. It's just how do we, again, how do we ourselves be that bridge, right? So I think amongst us, we love talking about it, but I struggle even, with people. I get excited when I talk about it sometimes with people, but you have to give them points of reference. You have to give them steps, into this sort of very abstract jungle, So, yeah, look, I mean, it's good. I we're all bullish, that's why we're here. But I think it's good just to keep in front of mind that how do we bring other people in to get them as bullish as we are, Whether they're young, they're old, whatever. Yeah, maybe old, it's going to be a much higher threshold because they've got their own paradigms that they have to cross, right? But I think it's still topical. It's still worth talking about because here we are sitting in avatars, and I think this was novel and it's still being tested. I'm curious to see how this concept evolves, with our with how we get out in the market, how people can relate or not relate to what we're doing. So I'm excited as a new way. This is one of those ways that are getting tested to help bring a message out there. So with that said, just shifting just a little bit, and then we might find a natural wrap up point. But so look, obviously Bitcoin's huge. We've heard about the El Salvador coming into the into the fold. It sounds like we might have other countries coming in behind them, some potentially Latin America. That's still TBD there. So the other hot thing in the market which I think is sort of what people are gravitating towards, which is another entry point, really. NFTs, right? NFTs, super hot, super dope, super fresh. Um, what are your thoughts? What I mean, maybe we should explain what NFTs are first to any of the uninitiated, Mr. MC Eggplant.
Well, NFT stands for non-fungible token, right? It means that every item and every contract is unique, right? So, it could be our screenshot right now, three of us, and we can sell it on NFT. And there might be some guy who says that, hey, I love MC Eggplant, like dancing eggplant, and then decided to put like 1 Ethereum to buy this picture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always going to be demand for some stuff, right? But anyway, NFT stands for that, and is every contract is unique. And the market is here. But obviously, that being said, it's still not really widely understood. Maybe DJ Sam could give that his opinion, right? About like, hey, what makes NFT valuable?
Right. I mean, it's just like you said, it's non-fungible. But the thing is, in the digital world, if you want to make something truly unique, the question is, how do you do that? If you have a music file, you can just copy and paste, you know? Of course, there's copyright issues, but in reality, it's unenforceable. However, with NFTs, it's mathematically and provably made so that you cannot just copy this thing, right? It's you can prove the owner, and I think that's where the real value comes from. So imagine you're a gamer, you work hard to unlock that gold trophy or whatever character, right? This could be turned into an NFT as well, and it can have like your stamp and record and everything saying, hey, you as a gamer unlocked this at this time, and maybe you can transfer that to other people, and people can provably see, right? You were like the original owner, or like you unlocked it. So this transparency and immutability, which comes down to really blockchain, is I think the fundamental source of this value. Now, how it's going to be used? Yeah, I mean, art, gaming, there's just so much. Even a portrait or of MC Eggplant, right? You're going to be a GIF of that. So who knows where that's going? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, mate. I can think of a lot of directions that's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, good, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. This is the future. Maybe this whole program becomes our first episode. Our first episode becomes an NFT.
Yeah. Or you know what Beeple did? I think he took like thousands and thousands of like his NFTs, right? Before it got famous.
Yeah.
And he put into one collection, and that thing literally blew up and sold for like millions or whatever.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so imagine we make like hundreds of streaming shows, and I don't know, it's like one big file. Who knows?
How many CDs do you think this first episode of DJs of DeFi will be worth in 5 years from now? What do you think?
CDs, oh my gosh.
Come on, mate.
Yeah,
CDs.
not financial advice, so let's just say, 2 million, 3 million, who knows?
I would say it's priceless.
Priceless, even. Okay.
Yep.
Or let's put infinity, right?
Sotheby's auction.
Yeah.
Sotheby's auction. That will determine the price. Everything has a price. All right. So, do you think NFTs are it's a bubble? It's still growing. It's going to pump. Well, I mean, where are we going with NFTs in the short term?
Good question. Honestly speaking, I think there was a bubble, it popped, but it's going to come and go because the uses are just so large. So as soon as, say, a famous artist mentions it, it's going to become like a mini bubble in the music industry. Let's say a famous like gamer on YouTube mentioned it, it's going to become a mini bubble in the gaming industry. So it's really hard to predict this because NFTs, again, could be like art and entertainment. And when it comes to art, it's all subjective. You never know when things get popular.
And another one to add in, right, another dimension is that I'm a technologist. It's always about looking from the user point of view and like the potential customer point of view, right? What can you create to help them? If you're able to create something that help them, then they will create some value because there is always a value to that solution. Unless the solution is non-existence, then the value is going to be very low. So if you're solving a big problem that a lot of people wants it, just natural, you will become very valuable because of that. So I'm not even trying to say that hey, we need to be like traditional startups and trying to be that. But thinking from a point of view, right? Nobody knows how good a mobile experience is until Steve Jobs unveiled the iPhone back in 2007, 2008. even when they launch it, it is also very obvious that a lot of mobile competitors are, laughing at him, right? But look at where are the competitors today?
Yep.
Just one piece of transparent glass that you are living every day right now, and you can't survive without. Talk about, potential change from one piece of things that have existed for the last 20, 30 years, right? Even prior to that, we have Palm, we have Nokia, we have like different smartphones, but none of it get to the mainstream because Apple have created something that solve a lot of people's want, and they create some solutions for their need, right? Which is to enjoy content, to stream content, to browse the net, to have different games on one piece of gadget. I think that could potentially be something that to think about NFT as well. The current NFT is just started, right? We never know how it's going to be.
Yeah, yeah. That actually, it's funny. You're stirring my imagination just there, because I mean, obviously everybody's pumping around the, whether it's the memes, gifs, or you know, digital art. I think I've heard now platforms pushing out music. I mean, I suppose those are seeming. It's kind of really like a copyright play too, right? Like if you think about, like it bookmarks the first instance of, or at least a trackable instance of, some some item. But I think it's the things we haven't thought of where it could just get wild. I mean, completely wild new territory. Is anything kind of popping in your mind, Mr. DJ Sam?
So you're saying like the next NFT or
Yeah, the
beyond
next
that?
application that is kind of like a bit left field that no one's quite put their finger on yet. I mean, maybe you've heard some echoes of it. Something like, oh, that could be interesting or that could be big.
Right. Okay. I mean, I'm not sure if this is even blockchain related. It could be, right? But
Yeah.
I think, well, actually, it could be. So here's the thing: VR is going to take off.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I'm not talking about just like the goggles you put on and having like a weird experience. I'm talking like full VR where everything's so surreal. It's combined, and then maybe right that the objects in there could be NFTs. But honestly, I think that's the future moving forward. So instead of having Zoom meetings, looking at a flat piece of a screen,
Yep.
maybe you could have like literal virtual like simulated VR meetings to do work.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Or have
that.
fun. Or have fun. I could be
Yeah.
surfing right now in Rio de Janeiro, right, with like the MCs, the DJs of DeFi.
Yes.
We could have theoretically have like a beach party, right? With a lot of fun, by on a VR.
So you're talking
And
about VR, okay? Yeah, I think we're definitely. I could see that, but I haven't seen. I think we haven't had that sort of,
breakout moment.
yeah, that inflection point where
No, not yet.
where VR really. I think. Look, I even think we're right now. I think we're on the cusp of an AR. I mean, hello, we're doing avatars,
Yep,
DJs,
yep.
So I think we're now pushing the boundaries of AR. I think AR will start to accelerate off the back of this, and then at some point there will be a crossover from AR to VR. But I just don't see how and when yet. We know it's coming.
Yeah.
We don't know, like, where, I suppose, at what point. Was that a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from, 5 years from now? I'd put my, if I think back 5 years ago from now, right? So I would say maybe 5 years from now. It's hard for me to see anything accelerate that fast with VR because there's so much equipment involved with VR, right?
Well, that's what we think now. But what if that could be game changer, where there's not as much equipment, everything's wireless.
Right.
But here's the thing: it comes down to the problem. Like, do people want it? Yes. Especially with this COVID situation, we're forced to go completely virtual, online, digital. But there's inherent limitations to that, right? So imagine if you can do, meetings better.
What about
interact with
porn?
each
I
other.
mean, VR porn still disappointed. I've tried it. I'm like, meh, you know.
Well, imagine if you can physically touch things, dude. That's yeah.
Well, okay, well that's a whole nother. That's like deep sensory stuff. That's Neuralink stuff.
I mean, think about it. I mean, there was a movie supposed to come out, right? Called like Mr. Nice Guy or something. I saw some ads, by Ryan Reynolds. You are actually literally living in that world, right? Whereby you just need to put on your glass and then you're part of that game, right? Part of that crowd, right? It's the
Yep.
same thing.
Yep.
Theoretically, today we can upload like virtual environment, right? It could be just a link, right? Once you put under the glasses, you connect to it with your 5G, and there you are. You're looking at it, you're part of it, and then, but of course, that being said, there's a lot of physical constraint and stuff. But you get part of it, right? Then there'll be some sensors here and there. But theoretically, it could be. I think we are like changing topic, right, from like NFTs to like
Well, no,
VR.
but you know why? Because it's the application, right? So I think one will beget the other. So if you have a lot of money in NFTs in an early on virtual environment, I could see how that would accelerate. It's about like it's kind of like the whole going back a little bit to the ICO bit. The ICO, while 98% of them were bullshit scams, that actually begat some of the leading projects of today, right? So
I
it's
think
the
there's one realistic path that NFT could take, but I'm not sure why they have not done it yet.
uh-huh.
It's actually not porn. It's actually games, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as we know, gaming industry
Yeah.
is really mature and
Yes.
really lucrative. It's very easy for them to NFT this and be included part of their games, and then they will have a lot of adoption straight away from their gamers, and it's actually the targeted customers too. So I'm surprised why it's not being implemented into the game yet. You know there are some gaming companies such as like I know Nexon announced in not in Korea that they are going to put some of their inventory or some of their balance sheet to buy Bitcoin, similar to any other big companies.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been wondering why they have not even do their own NFTs yet or be part of this movement yet. Maybe because they are still waiting, right? So I guess maybe the inflection point is that there needs to be brilliant entrepreneur who are extremely well in this and launch a game and just captivate everyone, and then the NFT would boom. The same as how iPhone create the first smartphone that is a piece of glass, and the industry never looked back ever since.
Yep.
Could be that moment.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think actually now talking through it, I think gaming is probably going to be where NFTs do take off, but you still need that bridge between, I guess, the off-chain environment and the on-chain environment of the NFT itself, right? So, I mean, you're not going to have a game running fully on-chain. That doesn't make any sense. But
The
somehow,
NFT could be, yeah.
yeah. So that's going to be the next. That could be the next threshold. Is anybody playing in that space right now or trying to?
I think there are some card games. I think there are several card games. I mean, I did not play those card games. It's just that a lot of card games is actually NFT based.
Right.
I think there are a lot of card games right out there that is like I've forgotten the name, right. Those card games that you is actually NFT.
Are you talking about like the collectible cards, like the meme card collectible cards? Is that what you mean, or what do you mean?
No, it's just a game, right? The actual card games, right? I'm not even talking about collectibles. That every piece of card is unique, right? It's just what are the famous card games that is available? Throughout the history.
Oh,
Uh,
like Dungeons of Dragons, that kind of shit.
I think so. Uh, I'm sure that Pokemon. You'll be wondering why Pokemon have not launched their NFT yet, right?
Right, right, right.
Remember all the VR on your mobile. You are capturing that Pokemon. That could be NFT.
It could be, but it also, I bet you why they haven't is because they're worried about securities, right? I bet you
Or
that.
they are worried about regulatory.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So they're worried about like somebody coming in over the top of them. Oh, NFTs. Oh, you think you're going to get clever on us? It's. I think most innovation. Well, I won't say most. A lot of innovation is stifled or held back because of the regulatory sort of threats. Or whatever that may. I don't know. I think that would be my at least on the NFTs because you're already hearing some rumblings of it, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. Like regulatory uncertainty, sometimes like what is the threshold between an STO and an NFT?
Right.
And maybe something in between.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, we don't know.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Who's going to define that, right?
That's interesting.
You just need to wait for one catalyst. The catalyst not here yet. When it happens, you know it. I'll give a very simple example about a real catalyst that happened in the crypto space, right? In the year 2016, 2015, when the whole ICO just started, it was just a piece of code that you could literally create and mint new token with a promise that this token could be worth something, right? In the beginning, nobody knows what it is, nobody know what to do with it. It's just a piece of code. And then somebody decided to say, hey, I can do that to fundraise. And then out of nowhere created the whole industry of like the ICOs and new different projects.
Yep.
mean, obviously, a lot of them are actually dead,
Yep.
but that created a multi-billion-dollar first wave, right?
Yep.
You can see like Binance, Coinbase, Ethereum has a use cases. That's the first wave. Then if you look at the DeFi, right? Decentralized finance is nothing new. I mean, theoretically, Bitcoin is the first decentralized finance, right? You can actually transfer money
Oh,
using
Maxis hate it when people say that.
Yeah, but my point is, if you think about it, right, then the second part of the whole movement was, when last year Compound launched their governance token. So theoretically speaking, people could actually move their money and then they can create more value from their yield farming, from their governance token, and the token have a use cases. That created the first true inflection point for DeFi startups. That is where you can see all these latest upcoming all these projects that actually are in the leaderboard today, like Uniswap, SushiSwap, Yen Finance, and all of these first wave of the first original DeFi startups are here today, and even like MakerDAO and the rest of it, right? So the inflection point was that, right, that moment when somebody creates something so new, and it naturally created that attraction for everyone to use that and talk about it, right? I believe the NFT is waiting for that moment. When it comes, you will know it. And by then, right, the next
True.
craze will come.
Yep.
True.
Well, on that note, perhaps just self-plugging here again. Perhaps the DJs of DeFi could be kicking off the next wave of NFTs with our very own avatars. Food for
I
thought.
wonder what that is. Hint, hint.
Food for thought.
Delicious.
That's actually, I think that's probably a good segue. I think to wrap up our very first. I wasn't sure how long we were going to go with this, but I think we're right. We're just probably hovering underneath an hour. Some little bit startup issues, but I think we'll get those ironed out for our next show. But I think it was good, to cover a lot of these different topics. Try and get really. I think look, just spelling out what we want to do with this show, right? One, as a platform to talk about DeFi, crypto in general, right? I think it needs to be done. There's plenty of people out there doing it. We're doing it with our own style, which hopefully, to your point, Mr. MC Eggplant, is it was providing some kind of value out there, right? Opportunity for us to talk about our very own projects, without overtly or pushing too hard about shilling what we're doing. But obviously we're working on CDs Exchange. It's going to be our flagship. It's an opportunity for us to discuss anything relevant there and whatever we're doing there, in a measured way. But again, importantly, testing out the concepts. Actually, there's one that I might take us off just a little bit. I want to put. I'll be talking about this a lot because I'm very much inspired by it, and I'm a big fan. And I think I'm actually surprised more people in crypto don't talk about him. So his name is Balaji. He's the former CTO of Coinbase, and he's well credentialed in many other spaces and industries. But he's really, I think, helped popularize this concept of the pseudonymous economy. Why is that important? Well, when you look at the history of pseudonyms in general, generally it was done for privacy and or security. So even William Shakespeare was a pseudonym. Some of these great writers of our time, which I can't pull off the top of my head, wrote under pseudonyms. Ultimately, if anything they said that was blasphemous, is protecting their lives essentially, right? So I think now this sort of is now coming up in a new vein, in a very mainstream way, especially in the midst of cancel culture, where if you say the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong people, you could be called out for saying unpopular views. You can't actually speak anymore freely in this environment. So I think this is now begging for a new platform or a new way of putting things out there, especially when you talk about crypto, when you talk about potentially upsetting the status quo and the institutions and what have you. This begs for a new way that protects privacy, security, and I think this is, again, this is kind of loosely this concept of the avatars, but I think this could be, a fun way to explore what that means. So leaving it there on the pseudonymous economy, how that might tie to NFTs or anything else of that nature, I think that's what this is ultimately. This is a big experiment. DJs of DeFi is an experiment. Crypto, Bitcoin, all of it's an experiment. I think it's one grand experiment. I think one that will wildly succeed. Who will be the one that crosses the finish line? There is no finish line. It's just a never-ending race. But it's a fascinating space, and I think as far as episode 1, I think is a good way to touch on all these big hot topics, and then more to come. We're going to be doing this Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 o'clock. Bangkok time. I don't know. I think it's UCT plus 7, something like that. We're blasting out a Phuket. I don't know if I should.
UTC plus 7.
Yeah,
UTC plus 7.
UTC plus 7. And it will be distributed worldwide, globally. So this will be ultimately. I'd like to be doing this every day, but that's when we have more DJs joining.
Yes.
The brotherhood.
Join the DJs.
So on that note, I think that's going to be our first episode. Episode 1 in the books, and our production crew over there, Mr. James, you want to help us wrap up? We're going to go off air very shortly. How do we wrap this up? You're looking at me with a blank stare. How do we?
I think we just stop recording.
No, we
and then
stop
after
recording?
That,
Is that what we do? So he's
Yep.
looking at me with a blank stare like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I don't know, dude. How do we wrap up? How do we do this this end of the show? See, this is what we need to work out. We need to work out how to start the show and how to end the show in style. And the boys are just looking like literally like.
we could, let's do this MC Liquid. I mean, since this is an experiment, yeah, we are like, having fun on this.
Yes.
At the end of every session of DJs in like the concert or like some music festival,
Yes.
what would the DJ say?
I don't know. Peace out, bitches. I don't know. What, something like that. I don't know.
Yes, join us on Thursday.
Yeah, join us on Thursday. Same-
MC Eggplant, DJ Sam, and MC Liquid.
Are you gonna join? You gotta get rid of new fucking that MC Eggplant's driving me crazy. I don't know how we suffered that the whole time. So that's going away.
Those teeth,
That's
man.
going away.
Those
Yeah,
teeth.
that whole thing, man. That wobbly. Okay.
right.
You know. So on that note, boys, do you want to wrap it up for us? Just give us a countdown, and then, because how do we do this? We need to figure out how to do this.
Uno, dos, tres.
Uno, dos, tres. I mean, how do you do it? Okay, you're just gonna stop. Okay, guys, that's a wrap. We had
Peace out.
fun. Peace out, bitches.
Cheers.
See ya.